Sunlight streams through the ornate window of the palace, signaling the start of a new day. Yurino gazes out at the morning light, offering a soft greeting to the waking world. A figure with long flowing hair approaches from behind, warning that she must rise now or face being late. Burrowing back into the sheets, Yurino groggily bargains for 5 more minutes and murmurs that she should just sleep with the visitor instead. The intruder stammers, completely thrown off guard by the sleepy invitation to share her bed. Yurino wakes with a violent start, the realization of what she just said crashing down on her. She freezes in place, her mind racing to catch up with reality. Recognizing the man before her, she screams Prince Vincent's name and demands to know his business. Vincent gently caresses her cheek, smiling as he explains he simply came to wake her. Outside, the towering spires of the castle stand tall against the bright sky. Confused and flustered, Yurino presses him for a real answer as to why he is there. She stares at the third Prince of Valendale, mentally screaming at the absurdity of him being dressed as a woman. Vincent leans in with a smirk, reminding her that she was the one who declared she wanted a bride. Yurino recoils in shock, her memory of the previous day suddenly triggered by his words. She slumps against the wall, her mind drifting back to the moment she sealed her fate. The flashback reveals her exhaustion from grueling horseback training and shooting practice. Completely drained, she had felt like she had absolutely no energy left for anything. In her fatigue, she had unknowingly sighed aloud that she just wanted a wife. Prince Vincent had been walking by and overheard her wish for someone to cook warm meals and comfort her. Back in the present, Vincent feigns hurt feelings while Yurino frantically insists her comment was just a joke. He ignores her protests and embraces her, demanding she make it up to him by making him her wife. The room shakes with the sounds of a physical struggle as Yurino fights to escape his grasp. She is horrified to discover that he even used stuffing to make his disguise more realistic. Yurino forcefully shoves him out of the room, shouting at him to leave immediately. With the door slammed shut, she leans against it and sighs with relief that the chaos is over. She spots the breakfast he left behind, questioning what on earth the prince was thinking. Deciding not to waste the meal, she offers a prayer of thanks before digging in. She takes a bite and is stunned to find the food incredibly delicious. Yurino notes that while this world's food is usually too salty, this meal is different. She reflects on her identity as Yurino Akabahara, a shrine maiden summoned from another world to the kingdom of Valendale. Along with the hero, mage, and priest, she was abruptly tasked with defeating the Demon King within 1 year. It took 6 long months of travel through the Black Forest to finally reach the Demon King's castle. The hero's sword and the Shrine Maiden's blessing combined to slay the Demon King instantly. Yurino wonders if the victory was too easy, pondering if the Demon King actually wanted to die. She quickly dismisses the dark thought, reminding herself that she must hurry to her training. Only 90 days remain until the rite of return, which translates to about 2.5 months in this world's calendar. Sunlight filters through the dense foliage of the castle grounds as the day begins to warm up. Yurino struggles to control her mount, letting out a startled cry as the horse surges forward. Bystanders marvel at her flawless horsemanship, noting it is exactly what they expect from the maiden who defeated the Demon King. Internally, Yurino admits she was initially a novice who trained desperately just to manage riding on her own. All of that grueling effort was driven by a single person calling her name. She confesses that she pushed herself because she was deeply in love with the gentlemanly hero, Lars. Terrified of being a burden or causing him trouble, she strove to become capable and strong. Heartbreak followed when Lars chose a gentle, beautiful princess to be his bride instead of her. In a cruel twist of fate, Lars admitted he honestly thought he would end up with Yurino before delivering the bad news. He explained that Yurino was too strong and independent, whereas he preferred a girl who would lean on him. Yurino forced a smile through the pain, masking her devastation with a sarcastic remark. Tears flowed freely as she realized the hero didn't want a partner who could ride alone, but one who sat in front of him on the saddle. Back in the present, she finds relief in the night squad, knowing she won't run into Lars before her ritual. She reassures herself that the hero has absolutely no reason to visit the training grounds anyway. A familiar voice calls her name, making her realize that Prince Vincent has always been the one to seek her out. She recalls how he constantly checked in on her, asking if she lacked anything before her journey ended. His gentle voice echoes in her memory, simply telling her to take care of herself. He had offered his unconditional support, telling her to just say the word if she needed anything at all. Even when her head was filled with thoughts of the hero, The prince's kindness towards her never wavered. It dawns on her that he has been asking her what she wanted from the very beginning. She questions if his attention is merely princely duty or if there is a deeper reason he bothers with her. Her train of thought is derailed by the absurdity of the prince currently cross-dressing as a bride. Yurino freezes as Vincent waves happily from a distance, shouting her name for all to hear. He shamelessly calls out, "My wife," while looking stunning in a dress, causing Yurino to recoil in embarrassment. The surrounding knights stare in shock while Yurino realizes her nightmare is unfolding in public. Desperate to avoid the scene, she attempts a tactical escape and tries to flee immediately. Her captain intercepts her, ordering her to take a walk with the prince since it is such a rare opportunity. Defeated, she confronts Vincent, demanding to know the meaning of this and why he is neglecting his official duties. Vincent admits he just wanted to see her, blushing as he confesses he happened to have some free time. Yurino stares at the bento box in shock, but Vincent brushes off her hesitation and urges her to just eat it. She sits on a garden bench, grateful for the food despite the strange circumstances. As they sit by the fountain, Yurino admits the meal is delicious and suits her taste perfectly. She nearly chokes when Vincent happily reveals he made the entire meal himself with love. Yurino sputters in disbelief, unable to process that a prince cooked for her. A sudden realization hits her that he must have prepared the breakfast she ate earlier as well. Vincent beams with pride, confirming her suspicion and promising she can look forward to more meals from now on. Yurino tries to decline, but he ignores her, vowing to learn even more recipes so she will make him her bride. Despite her efforts to barricade her door, the prince began sneaking into her room every single morning with breakfast. One morning, he greets her cheerfully, announcing that he has something special to give her today. Action lines flash across the room as he presents the item with dramatic flair. He presses the gift into her hands, urging her to take it without hesitation. Yurino looks down, confused to find that the grand gift is simply a handkerchief. Vincent winks playfully, telling her she doesn't need to recite the knight's oath if she doesn't want to. He bids her farewell and leaves, while Yurino stands there completely baffled by his words. Left alone in her room, she wonders what on earth he meant by that comment. Her thoughts are interrupted by her squadmates shouting her name from down the hall. The knights tease her, laughing that she is full of surprises for finally swearing the knight's oath. Yurino looks at them blankly, pointing out that she was the one who received the handkerchief, not the one who gave it. Realizing she is missing crucial information, she demands they explain exactly what a knight's oath is. They explain that the oath occurs when a lady gives a hand-embroidered handkerchief to a knight, who then pledges his sword and lifelong love to her. Yurino screams that they should have told her sooner, arguing that the prince isn't even a lady. Her squadmates tell her to give up, warning that once a knight accepts the token, there is no running away. Determined to undo the misunderstanding, Yurino declares she is definitely going to return the handkerchief. She frantically runs through the palace, insisting to herself that this situation is no joke. Skidding to a halt, she spots the Chancellor speaking privately with Prince Vincent in the hallway. The Chancellor bows formally, informing Vincent that his engagement has been annulled as requested. Yurino hides behind a pillar, her eyes widening as she overhears the word, engagement. The Chancellor sighs, asking if they can finally end this ridiculous act now that the deed is done. He questions why Vincent doesn't just propose to her properly instead of bizarrely calling himself her wife. Vincent explains that Yurino's first wish was for a wife, and he intends to make that wish come true for her no matter what. Yurino finds herself murmuring the word, prince, as the weight of the moment settles in. She realizes that for the first time since arriving in this world, she has actually voiced a genuine desire for something. Although her original goal was to return home, falling in love with the hero had made her believe that simply being by his side was enough. Shifting the topic to distract herself, she asks Vincent if cross-dressing is taking his act a bit too far. Vincent cheerfully replies that skirts are surprisingly comfortable because the breeze passes through them pleasantly. He teases that she seems to dislike men, but then admits this disguise allows him to see expressions she never showed him when he approached as a man. His playful demeanor fades as he correctly deduces that she is nursing a deep wound from being passed over for the princess right before her eyes. Yurino realizes with a jolt of pain that the hero had actually been aware of her feelings the entire time. She understands now that he took the princess's hand in front of her specifically to sever their bond once and for all. Vincent gently adds that if she were to remain in this world, he wishes she would choose him. The Chancellor adjusts his glasses, silently acknowledging the end of their conversation. He offers a polite bow to the disguised prince before turning to take his formal leave. Yurino's legs suddenly give way as the emotional exhaustion finally takes its physical toll. Her vision blurs and she begins to pitch forward, unable to keep her balance. Tears well up in her eyes as the pain of her unrequited love overwhelms her composure. She thinks that if the hero hadn't been so kind to her, the heartbreak wouldn't be nearly this agonizing. As she begins to fall, she hears Vincent urgently call out her name. Vincent catches her securely in his arms, preventing her from hitting the ground. She looks up in surprise, tears still streaming from her eyes as she meets his concerned gaze. He holds her close, whispering her name as the distance between their faces vanishes. Noticing her swollen eyelids, he gently asks if she would like him to help cool them down. He leans in and softly kisses her eyelids, applying a gentle magic to soothe the inflammation. Yurino is stunned to find her vision cleared and asks if he just used a cooling spell. Realizing she was just kissed, she flushes with embarrassment while Vincent cheerfully suggests they have some tea. He beckons her to follow him, acting as if the intimate moment was perfectly normal. Yurino stumbles again as she tries to follow, letting out a small cry of surprise. Vincent spins around, his hair flowing with the sudden movement as he reacts to her stumble. She falls forward, accidentally grabbing onto his dress for support. To her absolute horror, the skirt lifts, revealing that he is wearing men's underwear underneath. Vincent freezes, his face turning a deep shade of crimson as he realizes he has been exposed. He sprints away in a panic, shouting that his heart isn't ready for this yet, while Yurino insists she didn't mean to do it. Yurino stands alone in the hallway, completely bewildered by his sudden flight and cryptic words. The reality of the situation settles in, and she realizes she completely forgot to return the handkerchief. 3 noblewomen confront a silent figure, judging her with haughty expressions and demanding words. Yurino stares blankly, utterly confused by the sudden confrontation as digital question marks surround her. The trio of faceless ladies looms over her, asking in disbelief how things could have ended in such a manner. Later, Yurino sleeps peacefully in her bed, blissfully unaware of the drama unfolding outside. Image. Morning sunlight streams through the tall windows of the grand room, signaling the start of a new day. Image. Yurino wakes up with a groggy hum, noticing the absence of a certain someone in the room. She realizes the prince isn't there, wondering if he is intentionally avoiding her today. It dawns on her that he is likely hiding due to the embarrassment of previous events. While eating breakfast, she muses that the prince actually has shame despite his shameless cross-dressing habits. Outside, the castle grounds are quiet under the bright sky until someone approaches the building. Image. 2 male acquaintances wave cheerfully at Yurino, calling out her name from the garden. One of them immediately drops a bombshell, accusing her of assaulting the prince based on recent rumors. Yurino denies the allegations as they explain that servants were peeking and saw everything happen. The men let their imaginations run wild with romantic fantasies about the assault, forcing Yurino to scream at them to stop. She threatens a lawsuit for harassment, but they mock her, claiming schizophrenia isn't valid legal grounds. The conversation hits a dead end, leaving an awkward silence hanging between them as the men stare blankly. Image. Suddenly, a fast-approaching presence interrupts the moment, catching Yurino off guard with a swift movement. A drill-haired noblewoman steps forward, demanding to know who dared blemish Lord Vincent and identifying Yurino as the outsider. Yurino looks up in confusion as a large feather fan obscures her vision. The men note that the prince's admirers have arrived as Yurino desperately tries to explain it's all a misunderstanding. The fan club ignores her, loudly praising Prince Vincent's unmatched skill in magic and monster extermination. They gush that if he weren't royalty, he would be a wizard even greater than the legendary Fiorudo. Overwhelmed, Yurino begs the guys for help, but they are too busy imagining how popular the prince would be. One guy admits he is more used to seeing the prince in a dress than pants, though he still thinks he's cool. Yurino pauses, a conflicted look crossing her eyes as she considers that statement. She internally admits that dresses suit him better than they suit her, while the noblewoman continues her tirade about their adoration. Deciding to cut her losses, Yurino snaps out of her thoughts with a dismissive interjection. She turns to leave, declaring that nothing good comes from getting involved with that prince. The noblewoman snaps, accusing Yurino of sullying Vincent and demanding she take responsibility immediately. Yurino frantically tries to de-escalate the situation, insisting she didn't break anything. The noblewoman refuses to listen, enraged by what she perceives as Yurino's persistent insolence. A heavy fan strikes Yurino across the face with a sharp crack, eliciting a cry of pain. Two men frantically call out to Yurino, rushing forward to warn her of the escalating danger. Yurino gasps in denial as the threatening shadows of the noblewomen loom over her. The group surrounds her, spitting insults and calling her an unforgivable, dreadful woman for her alleged crimes. Yurino hesitates to retaliate, realizing that using her overwhelming power would likely injure the civilians around her. Instead, she issues a stern warning, telling them to move immediately if they wish to remain unharmed. Suddenly, a figure riding a white horse bursts through the trees, scattering the crowd with a dramatic entrance. Image. A gloved hand reaches out swiftly from the saddle, cutting through the tension with precise aim. Image. Yurino feels a sharp tug on her arm as she is hoisted into the air by the rider. Image. She finds herself cradled in a bridal carry by a beautiful figure in a dress, her face flushing at the sudden intimacy. Image. Her eyes widen in absolute shock as she recognizes the features of her savior up close. Image. Realizing it is the prince in disguise, she clings to him as they sit atop his steed. The prince, dressed immaculately as a woman, calmly apologizes to Yurino for his tardy arrival. Yurino is left speechless, a deep blush coloring her cheeks as she processes the absurdity of the situation. Image. The prince's sharp eye glances toward the crowd, assessing the situation with royal composure. Image. Before she can protest, he covers her mouth with his hand and whispers for her to please wait. He quietly assures her that he is unharmed and warns her not to make a scene in front of the gathered nobles. Yurino whispers back urgently, insisting that he must reprimand the nobles immediately or they will not remain silent. The prince takes a deep breath, preparing to address the hostile crowd with a bold strategy. He puts on a dazzling smile and loudly declares that he is terribly sorry, for it is his dream to become Yurino's wife. The noblewomen and Yurino freeze in collective shock, their jaws dropping at the preposterous announcement. The crowd erupts into fresh anger and confusion, demanding to know why he would say such a scandalous thing as wife. Yurino stares up at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend the method behind his madness. He beams down at her with a radiant expression, prompting her to hiss at him to stop smiling. The leader of the fan club steps forward, her dress rustling as she accepts the situation with a resigned, "Very well." She declares that if becoming a wife is Prince Vincent's dearest wish, they shall devote all their strength to supporting him. Yurino can only stammer a confused interjection, baffled by how quickly the tide has turned. The onlookers whisper in awe that even the influential Lady Thaiyun is bending to his will. Sharp glances are exchanged between the women, signaling a shift in the social hierarchy. Image. The resistance crumbles completely as the crowd agrees to follow Lady Thaiyun's lead, despite their reservations. The commotion finally settles, with the nobles acknowledging the authority of Lady Thaiyun of House Yuholt. Yurino walks past the prince and his admirers, feeling that the situation has become increasingly complicated as he offers her his full support. She reflects on how the prince has been rapidly winning over the court ladies with his surprisingly high-level feminine skills like embroidery. A sudden voice calls out Yurino's name, snapping her out of her internal monologue. A maid politely intercepts her, asking if she might spare a moment of her time. The scene shifts to an intricate architectural detail, establishing the grandeur of the location. Yurino finds herself sitting across from Lady Thaiyun in a lavish room, the atmosphere tense and formal. Sipping her tea, Yurino thinks that she cannot relax at all in such a lovely but intimidating environment. She eyes the elegant woman opposite her, wondering what business she could possibly have with her. Yurino stiffens reflexively, responding with a sharp affirmative when her name is called. Lady Thing clasps her hands and asks bluntly if Yurino harbors some dislike for Prince Vincent. Yurino is caught completely off guard, her face going blank with shock at the direct question. She stares at the sparkling, earnest expression of the lady, thinking about how blunt the inquiry is. Yurino honestly admits that she neither likes nor dislikes him, though she occasionally finds him cute. Lady Thaiyun suddenly grabs Yurino's hands, declaring that she is the prince's last hope because he usually shuns women. Yurino blushes, overwhelmed by having such a lovely beauty get so close to her face. The lady begs her to look upon his deeds generously, but Yurino interrupts to mention she is returning to her original world. Lady Thaiyun freezes, letting out a confused sound as the conversation takes an unexpected turn. Realizing her mistake, the lady flusters and apologizes terribly for her discourtesy. Yurino observes that the sharp and dignified lady is actually quite cute when she is flustered. Regaining her composure, Lady Thaiyun asks what specific complaints Yurino holds against Prince Vincent. Yurino hesitates for a moment before preparing to deliver the uncomfortable truth. She states that the problem lies in the fact that he is simply terrible at dealing with boundaries regarding women. Lady Thaiyun blinks in pure confusion, unable to comprehend the accusation. Yurino reveals that she cannot have him climbing into her bed in the morning, causing the lady to stammer in shock. The lady holds her head in her hand, admitting that such behavior is indeed rather vexing. Suddenly, Lady Thaiyun hides her smile behind a fan and asks if Yurino is perhaps jealous. She blushes behind the fan, noting that Sir Vincent truly knows how to try one's patience. Yurino firmly reiterates that barging uninvited into an unmarried lady's bedchamber is beyond the pale. Lady Thaiyun promises to speak to Vincent herself to end such conduct, much to Yurino's relief. Later that night, Yurino sits up in her bed, a shadow of doubt crossing her mind. She begins to wonder if Lady Thaiyun actually failed to tell the prince to stop after all. The final panel shows a text bubble noting that His Highness appears to have gotten a little thinner. Yurino ponders the prince's intense dedication to both his state duties and his peculiar wife training, wondering why he pushes himself to such extremes. A gentle hand strokes her hair, causing her to question if his efforts are truly motivated by his feelings for her. She second-guesses his kindness, fearing she might be making the same mistake she made with Lars by confusing duty or political maneuvering for love. Determined to protect her heart, she resolves not to let herself hope lest she end up hurt again. Unbeknownst to her, the prince sits by her bedside, watching her slumber with a tender expression. His gaze narrows as he notices a distinctive red mark on her skin, sparking a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He recalls that Lars possessed a similar mark on his temple, drawing a troubling connection between the two. The similarity lingers in his mind as he wonders if such a resemblance could truly be a mere coincidence. The prince greets Yurino with a bright smile as she stirs, wishing her a pleasant good morning. Yurino's eyes snap open in sheer panic, her face flushing as she realizes the prince is in her room. She stammers a greeting, internally screaming that his sleeping face just moments ago was downright devastating. The prince notices her embarrassment and explains that he heard she dislikes having her sleeping face observed. He claims he made a specific effort to wake up after her to respect her privacy, though his earlier vigilance suggests otherwise. Yurino realizes with a sinking feeling that Lady Thaiyun's noble phrasing about propriety may have been completely misunderstood. The prince dismisses her previous warnings about slipping into her bed, playfully arguing that as her wife, it is perfectly acceptable. He misinterprets her distress as worry about their status difference, asking if that is what troubles her as she frantically denies it. Leaning in close, he assures her that he doesn't mind the difference between a prince and a knight at all, completely missing the point. His voice drops to a whisper as he calls her name, closing the distance between them with intimate intent. Yurino freezes, caught off guard by the sudden shift in atmosphere as he gazes at her. He leans in until their faces are mere inches apart, the air thick with romantic tension. The reality of the situation crashes down on Yurino, snapping her out of her trance with a jolt of panic. She violently kicks him out of the room, sending him flying into the hallway with a shout to get out. Catching her breath, she grumbles that she honestly cannot let her guard down around him for even a single second.